Good afternoon and welcome back to Review Morgue. Jeanie, how are you doing on this fine July afternoon?
Oh, it's hot. It's breezy. It's usual. So it's
Yes,
Tennessee.
and an expectation of rain.
Exactly. This is Tennessee.
Oh, well, as you can see, our next film in the Review Morgue episodic adventure
Mm-hmm.
is Spirits of the Dead from 1968. And this film has three of Poe's stories adapted and three different directors within the film, which I don't know that I've ever seen a film like do that before. Have you? Having three
Well,
directors?
there were a few things, especially during the 60s when there was experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
The T, they were trying to play off, I think, a little bit about the TVs, the TV series, how the TV
Yeah.
series they would have different directors and certain, instances that would
Mm-hmm.
go or like those types of things. So I don't I don't think of one specifically coming to mind, but I do remember that, I've seen at least one or two that had two directors in one.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is the first time I've seen serial movies in one.
Yeah.
Is I guess is how it's because this technically isn't one continuous movie, it's three movies. So
Yeah.
in my thing, they're not three directors of one movie, it's three different uh movies in one long spiel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it. So
Yeah, it's very interesting. So the three stories that are included in this adaptation are Metzengerstein, then William Wilson, and then Never Bet
never
the
let the
Devil.
dove over your head.
Yes. And so we'll just jump right into the first one with Metzengerstein, and it is a mouthful to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was directed by Roger Vadim, I'm sure that's hopefully that's the correct pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
And the two stars that were in this one was Jane Fonda, who you can prominently see in both the picture behind me and Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
And then her brother, Peter Fonda, was also in it. And so, Jeannie, do you want to give the little short synopsis about Metzengerstein?
Well, first, I want to preface that these movies were very much, um,
Children of the
geared,
60s, late
yeah,
60s.
geared toward the time frame and were very much influenced by a lot of outside
Hmm.
sources of different cinematic ventures, I guess we could say.
That's a good way to say
So,
it. Hmm.
yeah, so we'll start with that because if you're looking for true Poe esque type movies, you're not going to get it with this. So the first one, Metzengerstein, is all about where this Jane Fonda's character
Hmm.
is a type of royalty. I don't think they ever specifically announce her as a princess, but she is of
No.
royal blood,
Yeah, and
and
that and
she's
the title of the Poe story, that's her last name, and the character in the
mhm,
Poe story, that's his last name. They basically took the Frederick
mhm, yeah,
Metzengerstein and changed it to Frederique.
Frederica.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frederica or Frederica
Hmm.
or however you want to pronounce it. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
she is she's very much epitomized as a lord or lady of different vices, I guess I could say it that way.
Yeah. I put a
Um,
note down of hedonistic pleasure.
yeah, that's what I was going for. That's
Yeah.
that's a good way of saying it. But she was very cruel also.
Yes, yes.
She did not allow anyone to disrespect her, to look down on her, not to do her bidding. Anyone she chose that she wanted, it was like, you're mine, you're going to do what I say. If you don't, then you'll suffer the consequences. Very, very straight to the point.
Yeah.
And so she goes to the country villa or palace or whatever you want to call it. And then that's where her cousin, who's played by her brother, Peter Fonda,
Mm-hmm.
who is very well loved and revered, and he's very quiet. And she tries to wile him into her clutches, but he refuses. And so she
Yeah.
retaliates. I'm trying not to give a lot of the story away because,
Yeah.
frankly, I don't want to. It's just a horrible story. Not Pose, but this one.
Well,
Um,
there's a lot of similarities of the basic part of the story from the movie to Poe's story, but once they changed the main character to a female and added in those elements of cruelty and hedonism, you lost Poe.
yeah, that's what
The,
I'm
the
saying. I
cruelty,
mean,
but the cruelty was there in the original story.
yeah, but with Poe's writing of it
Yeah.
is very, it's very Poe that way about the way he writes certain cruelties and certain ways of
Mm.
things, but it's like they took it to the nth degree
Oh yeah,
to where
absolutely.
it's so
Absolutely.
far off that it's all about the cinematography, in my opinion. I told Carmen when I first finished
Hmm.
watching this, I'm like, if I was having to watch this in college for a film course and having to critique and look at it from a certain perspective, that I had to look at it from costume to cinematography to music to, characterization, those kinds of things. I could do that from that standpoint, but to look at it from the point of looking at a Poe story being recreated, I was not impressed by any means because even though they may have kept the premise of most of this, most of the hierarchy or the action parts of Poe's story,
Yeah.
they did them so blatantly that it killed the story for me. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like I wouldn't even want Poe's name to this. I hate to say it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because I was just so angry that it was. Now, I will give it props for the cinematography.
Oh,
The
it was,
direction,
hmm.
the direction is iffy. Because it's what's the word I'm looking for? It was very melodramatic.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. It was very
Well,
melodramatic and very 60s with like you said, hedonistic pleasures.
yeah. And to me, it wasn't quite psychedelic, but it had that element mod. You can see how Jane Fonda's
Mhm.
costume is. This one was the more outlandish of costuming. And well, no, I take that back. The
No.
last one was actually worse. But
Yeah.
there was that level of we're going to keep some of the costumes very in period of like the Middle Ages or Renaissance times, but then you can see how she's got and other female characters had on these, very bathing suit like outfits and things showing like full legs and all of that. One thing we need to do also say, and I should have said this at the very beginning, is the only copy we could find was dubbed into French. And so we had to watch it reading the
I, yeah.
closed captions. So that was another
Yeah.
thing.
And that's the thing about it is, and it's being used subtitles in French.
Hmm.
They're translating it from French to English for the subtitles. And even that was lost because they didn't translate everything, which that's okay.
Yeah.
But it had a very Bo Derek type to it, where
Hmm.
it was like a Sports Illustrated, where it was all about the female body and the whole 60s realm of love and all that kind of stuff.
Pre-love.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, there's
definitely.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it was just overused very
If
much.
if this was made in 1958, it would have been a very different film, and it probably would have been the most closely adapted film up until that point
Hmm.
done that was
Yeah, they
closely related to
definitely
Poe.
used literary license to make it what they wanted because
Yeah, it was a movie of the time. It was a movie of the
yes.
time. Absolutely. Well, so her cousin, played by, like Jeannie said, her real brother, Peter Fonda, his name was Wilhelm, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, Berlipsing. And he was the next door neighbor, and that's exactly how it was in Poe's story, and they were rival families of each other. I don't know how much more you want to give
Nothing.
away.
I'm done. Because I mean, I'm sorry. Anyone that wants to watch this and get the full effect, that's going to be on them. But
Yeah,
I don't want to. They're short. You know, altogether, all three
45-ish
stories
minutes
made two
each.
hours,
Yeah,
so they're not long stories in themselves when they put them into the film part. So I don't think there needs to be any more added to it. Just that the ending is the ending was the only thing that I was like, and part of me was like, she deserved it, but
yeah,
she deserved more. It
yes,
was a cop out to me. That's
yeah,
what I was like. The ending is like a cop out.
yeah. I think
So,
that's a good way to say it. And for me, I think, like you said, the cinematography was so well done, and just
mhm.
the setting, what just the castle that they were in and where it was filmed, it was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it was from a cinematography point of view,
Hmm.
yeah, it had great cinematography, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So then
All right.
let's
So
move on to the second one.
next one, we're up with William Wilson, and that was
Mhm.
directed by Louis Malle. It could be Maillet, I'm not really sure. So, but this one starred Alan Delone, or I'm not sure exactly if that's pronounced correctly or not, but it's Delon. And there was to me, it was a more of a cameo role for Bridget Bardot. And we have a
Yeah,
connoisseur that just walked through the screen.
yeah. He had to put his 2 cents worth in.
He did, yes. So,
Yeah, Bridget Bardot was like an afterthought, in my opinion, that she
yeah,
was just put in there to be there as like eye candy type of thing.
absolutely. Because in the original story, it would have been her character would have been a male character in Poe's story.
Exactly.
Yeah, and as if you've read William Wilson, it's a story of the doppelganger, and whether or not, this basically starting out kind of this man going back thinking about his childhood of this other boy shows up, and his name is also William Wilson. He looks the same, but he can only talk in a whisper, and everything that the original William Wilson does, the doppelganger is the good side, of the William Wilsons. The
Yeah.
original William Wilson is kind of um, a bad boy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he's a person who is trying to deal with plebeians basically.
Yeah.
He feels himself higher, of
Hmm.
status and having to deal with things. But in the movie or vignette or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
um, they take it to the extreme, in my opinion,
Yeah.
to where it's like, yeah, when William Wilson the second shows up, he is like not really punched in enough like it is in the story
Mm-hmm.
to show that he's supposed to be William Wilson's good side type of thing, his
Right.
conscience, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it.
I'd say
It's
conscience
just,
would be a great word to
yeah,
use. Yeah.
he's more or less just an antagonist or protagonist, however you want to call him.
He's really the protagonist if you think about it. And because
Yeah, that's
the
the thing.
the main William Wilson is really he's not even an anti-hero.
No. And that's the thing. It is so far afield that they just take it too far again, in my
Yeah.
opinion,
And
that it kills the story
yeah,
for me.
but they do follow some of the same exact things that happen in Poe's story with there's a card game that the original William Wilson gets caught cheating at, and
Hmm.
then the way that the story ends, and I don't want to give that away if no one's read it, that ends very similarly after, and like they blended a masquerade in with the card game, and then and again the end is very similar to the end of Poe's story with a few differences. And again, I don't want to give that away, so I'm gonna keep that secret.
Yeah, but once more, it is like with the first one, they've taken it to hedonistic pleasure
Mm-hmm.
to the point to where instead of it being on one side, in the first one, this one is almost to the opposite
Yeah,
of where his hedonistic pleasures are on the cruel side of,
extremely cruel. Yeah.
yeah, sociopathic,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
now the first one, yes, it had its cruelty also, but it was more of a sexual thing,
yeah,
where this one is more
cruelty
of,
for cruelty's
yeah,
sake. Yeah.
exactly.
Like, let's just see how far I can go. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
And in Poe's story, it definitely is not as that is not the theme of it. It is not, there is some cruelty, but it's nothing like what this movie portrayed.
yeah, and that's the one thing with Poe. Poe has this subtlety, in his writing where he writes, but it's more of an interpretation
Mm-hmm.
type thing for the reader, that he gives a little bit enough to he gives a he gives enough in the story, but he doesn't blatantly beat you over the head with it like in the movie,
Right.
to where
Absolutely.
it's no, it once more, it detracts so far because they've concentrated so much on that to where you've lost the Poe part.
Yeah.
You've lost Poe in the story.
Yeah. And the I will say in this particular one, the costuming was great. It kept with the style
Mm-hmm.
of the time that Poe would have written this, which I think it was 1839. And one thing we forgot to
Mm-hmm.
mention that Metzengerstein was Poe's first short story published in 1832. And so
Right.
William Wilson was published in 1839. And I did say William Wilson, yes.
Yes.
And so just kind of thinking about that. But yes, so the time period that they held this story in was very true to the 1800s, 19th century, however you want to say it. And so that all was very accurate in my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one was only slightly better
Yeah.
than the last one, but not by much. Let's just put it that way. It was.
Yeah, well, there's one scene that almost made me stop watching it, and I think you know which one that
Oh
is.
yeah, it was
So,
beyond.
I mean, we will say just like just warning, there is nudity in this film, and some of the cruelty is, I could definitely say like a trigger warning, I guess would be the best way to say
Yes,
it.
very
Yeah,
much. You
yeah,
need to be prepared.
yeah. If you decide to watch it, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So, anything else? Thoughts on this one, Jeannie, before we move
No.
on?
Oh no, I just no. That was. They just seemed to get worse as they went on. And like you said, the only redeeming qualities on any of these is the cinematography. So.
Yeah, yeah. And again, costuming in William Wilson, it
Hmm.
except for the exaggerated, extremely exaggerated things that they added for the cruelty effects,
Hmm.
this one was very close to Poe's story.
Yeah, it's the closest one to the actual story,
Hmm.
but they overshot it quite a
Yeah.
bit. So.
Absolutely. All right. So number three and the last one
Hmm.
was based on Never Bet the Devil Your Head. But what I thought was interesting because for each one they have its own like title card. And so this one was called Toby Dammit, who is the main character of Never Bet the Devil Your Head. But it said liberally adapted from Don't Wager Your Head to the Devil. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
I
I
thought that
did.
was,
I was like, okay, don't wager your head. All right.
yes. And
We
so
need to sound more political. Okay.
and so this one starred Terrence Stamp and directed by Federico Fellini. And so it
Mhm.
very much had the Fellini stamp on it. More Italian, with things in it.
Oh, yes.
And they even had the Italian Oscars because Toby in the story played an actor. He was traveling and they were taking him to the Italian Oscars, which I thought was very odd. The people there were very weird. And one thing was really kind of cool. They introduced one of the ladies as Annie Ravel.
Hmm.
And I thought that was very interesting because there is a legend from South Carolina when Poe lived there. There was a girl named Anna Ravel that the father kept her from Poe, and that he buried her secretly when she died, and Poe could never find her grave, and no one really knows where she's really buried, except in this one
Yeah.
cemetery. Anyway, I had to throw that in because I was like, "Ooh, that's a neat little." Yeah, did they do that on purpose? I think so, but at the same time, were they trying to spin Ravel from Raven, Annie from
Yeah.
Annabelle Lee? Just it's just little things that I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that one was let's say, that one was the more, felt like I was watching Andy Warhol
Yes,
with.
it was very psychedelic.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. Because
And
that was the whole thing. I'm like, good
yeah,
Lord, it's like,
they
are we like,
modernized this one. Yeah, because he was
yeah.
he was in a plane at the very beginning of the story.
Oh yeah, this one was very much centered in the 60s, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
because it was like, do I, what the heck? Because
Hmm.
he was definitely taking drugs.
Yes.
Because he was,
Admittedly, and drinking very
yes,
heavily. Yes.
because he was he was needing that, I guess you could say, to fortify him, because everything was so, what's the word? Was so psychedelic. I think I like that word.
Yeah.
I even told Carmen one time, I'm like, I think I needed to be on something to watch this
Yes.
because
And
it was
then
like, holy crap.
yeah, and so after he really didn't want to do like go up and do anything on stage, and he was a well-known Shakespearean actor, and he was
Yeah.
promised a Ferrari, which I thought I was like this is like somebody's just stream of conscience dream is what this one seemed
Oh,
like.
yeah.
But it got around to Poe's story. I mean, there were elements throughout that kind of connected everything just very wildly.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was the one that was like, holy crap. Can we
yeah,
get to the point here or get something, Because
yeah.
it was very psychedelic.
Hmm.
It was very not Poe-esque enough, in my opinion.
No, no. And
This one
until
was the interpretation to the max.
yes, what says liberally adapted. So
Yeah, they meant liberally.
but yeah, but he got his Ferrari. He was driving like a madman. It reminds me of one of my little cats that he gets the zoomies and runs around the house. This Toby Dammett's character was driving around like a madman.
Yep.
And the one thing I thought was very interesting, and I don't think this will give really too much away. So the story ends like Poe's story ends with what happens to Toby with the never bet the devil your head. That's
Uh-huh.
all I'm gonna say. But I liked how the devil was interpreted many different ways throughout the story. Because in
Yeah.
Poe's story, I mean, I love this is one of my favorite Poe stories, and I love just the little old guy who plays the devil. But this one, the way they did it, he was infused in different parts of Toby's travels to,
Mikey.
yeah, Psyche to the Oscars.
Hmm.
And I thought that was that part I thought was very well done, just for a modernization of it.
Yeah, it was very liberally
Hmm.
done.
Yeah,
But
as they
and
said.
but it did get closer, in my opinion, to being a modernized version of Poe's story that fit Poe's story.
Yeah. The thing that they really took out, which I think they could have left in, and he could have been, he or she could have been like Toby's manager or something,
Hmm.
or agent, that because Toby had his friend who told the story, and that particular character was eliminated. It was just Toby by himself
Yeah.
and meeting all these different people. And so I think that would have been a nice element to leave in and modernize him that way.
Yeah, I mean, I could they could have, like you said, they could have done a few things that would have, made it a little better, but I think
Hmm.
it's the same time they had a vision that they wanted to
Yeah,
impart to everyone.
yeah. But
And
if
if
you've
they had
seen,
changed it too much, it was like, no.
yeah, but if you've seen anything by Federico Fellini, he is a great director,
Yeah.
and it's those same elements that you always see with his films. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I absolutely loved, which most of the Poe adaptations do not do, is while the credits were rolling at the end, they had a picture of Poe behind the credits. And I just thought that was very nice and honorable to him.
Yeah, that was a good addition that I thought was
Mhm.
made, that they truly gave the respect where the respects
Yeah,
needed to be. So,
absolutely. And I think if I remember, hold on, I've got to pull this up because I took a picture of it. So I can't remember where I saw this, Jeannie. There was a Poe quote. Do you remember seeing the Poe quote in it?
yeah.
It was horror and fatality have been stalking abroad in all ages. Why then give a date to the story I have to tell? And then it has signed Edgar Allan Poe.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant to look this up. I'm going to look it up. I was going to say you do the talking for a minute while I look this up
Okay.
because I was curious about something.
Yeah, the the Poe quote that showed up I thought was very nice, and then the end credits. But like I said, this story, even though it was modernized and a little bit psychedelic more than the rest of it, fit so much better in the way that Federico, whatever, Fellini, I'll just call him
Yeah,
Fellini.
yeah.
The way Fellini used it to his advantage was much better received than the other
Mhm.
two, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I said, it did have that Andy Warhol feel to it. They did use the colors very well. I did get a feeling of, at one point, I thought I was watching the different colors from the Mask of the Red Death because they would change and everything
Oh,
and different
yes. Yes.
parts, the way they were being portrayed. So I was like, oh, he must
Mhm.
be including that somehow in his storyline to try to help get it across and get
Yeah.
people more involved, because I was like, yeah, this is like Mask of the Red Death also.
Yeah. Well, I took this picture of the quote and then I forgot at what point I had seen it in the movie and I wanted to bring it up while we were talking about it. And I was going to look it up before we recorded and again, totally forgot. But it's the very first line or two of Metzengerstein.
Mm-hmm.
And horror and fatality have been stalking abroad in all ages. Why then give a date to the story I have to tell? And so I think with that being, with this being Poe's first published short story, I think that's very fitting because I- some of Poe's stories are so timeless depending on how he writes it. Some are very embedded into like the medieval times. We'll just call it like you just mentioned, Mask of the Red Death, Metzengerstein, but there's some stories that it could take place in the 19th century, but it also could be taking place right now in the 21st century, like the
Right.
Telltale Heart. And so I just think that's very interesting. But I was glad
Yeah.
that they included that and it was accurate because I was very afraid that, did they pull a quote and not fact check it?
Yeah. That's one of the things with these some of these adaptations that I worry about too. It's like, oh, are you doing it correctly?
Yeah,
Are you using what is right? Those kinds of things. So
yeah.
that's good that they did it. So
Yeah. It would have been, I think it would have been nice if they had used a quote from the other two stories as well.
yeah, that would have been good. But as usual, they didn't think the way we think. So
Yeah. And that's it. We'll forgive them.
this time we shall forgive them this time
Yes, yes.
for that. So
So I think it's about time to do our croaks and
this is.
hisses. Yes. So would you like to go first or do you want me?
I can go first.
All right, let's do it.
All right, I will start with the croaks. I give it a one croak
All right.
because I was just there was so many times I was like, why am I watching this? I don't understand. Why am I watching this? And it had nothing to do with the subtitles, it had nothing to do with cinematography. It was just the stories were just so far afield, in my opinion, and over the top of the way that Poe wrote them, that it
Hmm.
took away the reader's interpretation. I think that was the biggest issue for me. That
Yeah.
is why I give it a 5 hiss. It
Okay.
gets 1 croak and 5 hisses. I give the 1 croak because of the cinematography and the directing, because I can't fault the directors for, being directors. I
Yeah.
do fault them for directing such horrible stories, but or interpretation screenplays, whatever you want to call them, because
Yeah.
Toby Dammit was the only one that was redeemable in any way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
But yeah, 5 hisses because it was too much of the hedonistic parts to the stories that just over overwhelmed the Poe intention, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents worth.
All right. Well, I do tend to kind of agree with you on quite a bit of it, because it while the I'm writing this down so I don't lose my track of what we gave. Sorry.
Mhm.
Um, I guess let me just start. Let me just say that, okay, so for Raven Croaks, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I give it a 2. And I think I'm giving it just a little bit more than you. I think especially for the second two, the the costuming slash setting, just the modernization of Never Bet the Devil Your Head, because at the end it flew through the air with me
Okay.
of sticking to Poe's story. And again, the first one, the license of the extreme cruelty, the hedonistic stuff, and I'll talk about that with the Black Cat Hisses. But except for those things and changing uh Frederick to Frederic or Frederica, however we want to pronounce it. Um, the stories themselves, for the most part, were pretty. They're a little bit more accurate, I think, than what they've been in the past. But with the exception of going to the extreme with certain liberties.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, the setting, costuming, in most of them, except for the Toby Dammit one was costuming was well done for the time that it was taking place. And so
Mhm.
honestly, that was really well done too. I think the acting for the most part was done very well by all of them. I think Alan Delon, who played William Wilson, did an incredible job. And so I'm going to go ahead and just quickly move to the Black Cat Hisses, just because that's really all I can say. And
Mhm.
so I'm also going to give it 5 hisses as well, because I think the extremity that they put in the first two, you didn't need that. I
Mhm.
think that you could change the character from a man to a woman, and that was perfectly fine. Because otherwise, all of these stories, for the most part, would have been all male characters based on Poe's story. So if you do want to add a female element to help bring in a bigger audience, that's okay. I mean, because all adaptations, they do that a lot, especially nowadays. Um,
Mhm.
but it wasn't necessary. Yes, and yes or no. It's really just your own opinion on that. But again, I totally agree with you, Jeannie. The extremity of the first two stories with what they pulled in with the hedonism and the cruelty was definitely not necessary.
No, that I agree, 100%.
And it just I think it did take away from Poe. Definitely. It would not have been what if he wanted to put something like that in his stories, he would have wrote it in there to begin with. I mean, even when
Yeah.
you look at, the epitome, excuse me, of hedonism in the picture of Dorian Gray, even Oscar Wilde didn't put, he put in, a little over the top stuff, but not nearly like you could get away with in the 1960s on film.
Hmm.
But I think even if Poe was writing in let's say, instead of 1832, 1932, he still would not have put anything like that in these stories.
Mm-mm. No, and that's one of the things I guess that really bothered me is every one of these adaptations felt like an insult to Poe instead of instead of regaling him and his writing. I just felt they were just insults because it's like they were taking the modernization of the 60s and what they
Mm.
could get away with and doing it, but using Poe's stories to bring it to that point. And I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was just me.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I don't necessarily think for me it was not necessarily an insult. I think the perception is kind of insulting, but I think they thought they were being artistic
Mm.
with the license they took. It is my, it'd be interesting to know and hear from them specifically, but yeah, but again, it wasn't necessary. I would have enjoyed the stories as they were written or as they were adapted without the extremities.
Yeah, I mean, even changing the characters from male to female
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, and even, putting a more realistic
Mm-hmm.
point of view to it, that
Yeah.
wouldn't have bothered me. It's just they just took it two steps too far, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to try to make it more theatrical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just didn't appreciate that. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, this is one neither you nor I had seen thus
mm-mm,
far. And when with some of the movies we've reviewed, we had seen before, sometimes even many, many times. So
mhm.
this was a very interesting one to do because we hadn't both seen it and then to talk about it. So,
Yeah. So it's one of those that we did it, but I will not revisit this ever.
yeah.
It's not going to be anywhere on my to watch again list.
Yeah, this
Ever.
is one I probably won't go back to as well. Like maybe if there's nothing else on, but it's
No.
not in a top, like tier for me at all.
I mean, I'll watch reruns of Andy Griffith before I watch that. And I love Andy Griffith.
Oh,
So,
oh, so
uh,
what are we doing for August? No,
ooh.
July. I'm sorry. No, we're in July. August. I had it right the first time.
What the heck?
Yeah, I know. It's summer. I forget what day it is.
Oh yeah, let's not talk about that. I have to ask like 10 times a day what day of the week, what day of the month, or
What
what
time
month
it
I'm
is.
in. So yeah, it's like I don't know. I'm living the life of maybe. All right, so the next one, which would be August,
Mm-hmm.
which would be beginning of season 6 for us.
Season
Yes,
six.
so season 6, we're going to begin with the 1969 version of The Oblong Box.
Get
Director
it?
Gordon Hessler stars Vincent Price,
Yes.
Alistair Peterson, and Christopher Lee.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep. So we go back to Vincent Price, but he's not in a Roger Corman, but he is on a Poe.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a Poe.
Yes,
Sans Corman.
exactly. So it's, hopefully it'll be, I know from other things that it's going to be one that we can review, but I won't give away how we're going to review it because we've seen it but not really in a way that we're going to talk about it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, it's the truth. We've seen it, but it's like, no. All right. So, on that note, we
We
are
are
co.
Co out.
Dun, 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 dun.